Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this seminar on the aftermath of economic disruption and disability, diversity and inclusion. We all are going into a very tough time for the normal people as well as for the PWDs. And in midst of this, I think we are getting connected over webinar. It's a very great effort from all of us. And I will just set the context and introduce the moderator for the day today. Due to this COVID-19, PWDs especially have major challenges to work or retain their jobs, resulting a major loss of income for them. So they are very much petrified and they are confined to their homes, not so movable. This webinar is aimed around to raise the awareness towards the adverse effects of COVID-19 on PWDs. And for that, today we have a strong panel, and the moderator for the panel is Dr. S.M. Gupta. He is the Global Chief People Officer for Sarthak, and he will moderate the seminar. And to the audience, I would request to post their questions on the chat on FB Live or through Zoom, whichever the way you can, and then those questions will be answered and taken up. Dr. Gupta heads the people management function at Sarthak. It's a 46,000 people company with diverse workforce spread across various countries in 13 countries and 54 global centers. And it's a New York Stock Exchange listed entity. For himself individually, he has a 30 years of HR experience in IT, ITS, telecom and retail, oil and FMCG, has been working with various companies including Tata, Reliance, Kansai, Nerolac and SR Group. He has enabled and inspired innovation for people at different stages and different strategies he has framed for their policies and programs. Under his leadership, the company where he is working on, Sarthak, has been successful in integrating more than 8 companies across 6 geographies. It's a very difficult task, which Dr. Gupta has attained with ease. And that's the reason that his company has won numerous awards from Aon, Great Place to Work, National Award from Government of India, NASSCOM, CII, and SHRM. He's a firm believer in inclusiveness and diversity. Professionally, he's an MBA and PhD in Masters. Over to you, Dr. Gupta, for the webinar of the day. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Sandeep Bhargav, for that long introduction, and a very good afternoon to all the ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to this very, very informative session and very, very strategic session in terms of the timing and in terms of the opportunity. First of all, I also would like to place on record my thanks for Dr. Jitendra Agrawal and also Sarthak for giving me this opportunity to moderate this panel discussion and organizing this session. So thank you very much once again. And friends, we have a distinguished set of panelists today along with us for this session, who shall be sharing their experiences, learnings, and insights with us. And I would like to welcome them, and I would like to introduce them. First, I would like to welcome Ms. Gayatri Ramamurthy, who is Senior Director, Diversity and Inclusion, Capgemini. Gayatri is an HR professional and currently responsible for D&I initiatives in India for Capgemini. And she enables a safe and equitable workplace for employees through the Grievance Review Forum and policy on prevention of sexual harassment forums. Additionally, she is part of the core team of global program on women at Capgemini to enable gender balance and build a platform for women to accelerate into leadership roles. As a lead for D&I, she's required to break into bias, raise the level of awareness, and ensure that Capgemini is an equal opportunity workplace across all forms of diversity seen in this society. So welcome, Gayatri, to the program, and I'm sure we have a lot to learn from you. Friends, our second panelist today is a young leader, Shruti Mishra, who is a lead for people and organization partner for retail with Puma. Shruti is an ambitious and focused HR professional with 9 years of experience in the domains of manufacturing, real estate, ITS, FMCG and retail businesses. She possesses a lot of commitment to deliver internal customer service excellence and she also has a reputation for bringing in innovation leading to customer satisfaction. She has been able to reduce costs by implementing processes that are more efficient into the business. She contributed to the EBITDA by analyzing trends and undertaking projects to maximize profits. And she has managed multi-city dispense teams to deliver results in line with the company mission and goals. And she's been the winner of prestigious Jombe 100 Under 40 HR Professional Award, People First HR Future Leader 2019 Award, and she's also been featured in a United Nations Development Program documentary on social sustainable recruitment drive, showcased across nations. Welcome, Shruti, and we are all going to listen from you about your experiences as well. Friends, our third panelist today is Mr. Vijay Kapoor, who is head of HR for the Leela Palace. He earlier worked with Design Hotels, part of making it a successful venture in NCR Gurgaon. Previously launched ultra luxury urban resort Dusit Devarana in the heart of India, New Delhi, which is known by the name Dusit International, with best pick of talent pool available, and was part of launching one of the most admired hotel brands in India, the Leela in Gurgaon NCR, which is winner of many accolades in the market. As pre-opening HR manager, had very effective stint at Hyatt International, the flagship property of Hyatt Regency Delhi, and was able to bring down labor-related court cases drastically down and put focus back on developing key human resources in the company. He's passionate about people, drive excellence with eye for detail, and a firm believer in teamwork, and developing resources to the next level through empowerment. Welcome, Vijay, to the program, and we are very eager to listen to you. And then, last but not the least, we have Nandini Mata, who is Vice President HR with Lifestyle International Private Limited. Nandini is a passionate HR professional with an overall experience of 21 years. She thrives in a culture where people's strategies are developed in line with business and organization goals, and has a proven track record of leading a large team that delivers results and working with business to reduce attrition, increase employee engagement and productivity. And Nandini has been recognized as Women Achiever of the Year 2016-17 by Jain University, and also as Top 100 HR Professionals for 2017-2018. Welcome, Nandini, to this program. So collectively, friends, we have almost 100 years of experience in this room, and I'm sure all of the people, especially the panelists, are working towards the cause of diversity and inclusion, and therefore I think in this session we are going to immensely benefit from their experiences. So today's subject of discussion is aftermath of economic disruption on disability, diversity and inclusion. And to come to the subject, and before I come to the panelist, and which Sandeep pointed out in the beginning, that it is an extremely challenging time, especially for persons with disability, generally for everyone, but especially for diverse groups. And in relation to PWDs, I briefly see three key challenges. One is the accessible healthcare. So may it be information on pandemic or hand washing guidance or other safety measures, it's a challenge for all the PWDs. The second important challenge which we are seeing in India especially, and also globally otherwise, is the employability. I mean, due to lockdowns, either people are not able to reach to the workplaces because of non-availability of transport or non-availability of relevant systems, or even if people are able to reach, employers are retrenching and employers are optimizing the headcounts and they are reducing costs, etc., which is creating an issue of employability for in general for everyone, but in specific context of persons with disabilities. And the third the challenge that I see in this time that has come up before PWDs is the financial challenge. And of course, this one comes partly comes from the second one, which is the employability. But let us understand that there is a huge monetary challenge in front of persons with disabilities in terms of maintaining their own lifestyle, maintaining their livelihoods, etc., etc. But let us also not forget that every crisis, by its nature, brings, while it brings a lot of difficulties and challenges, but it also brings a lot of opportunities. And one such opportunity that has been thrown by the current pandemic is work at home, which appears to have acquired the dimension of a new normal now. You would have heard and seen in the newspapers that one of the biggest IT companies, TCS, announced that 75% of their workforce, they are now enabling from work from home now, which means they will be vacating those offices and using it for some other purpose or whatever. In our company, Sarthak, which is a globally diverse company employing about 50,000 people, we have today 55% of our global workforce working from home. So friends, I will not go into much of the details because we have now time to hear from our panelists. So with this backdrop, I would like to ask the first question to all our panelists, and anyone please feel free to pitch in. What is your company's disability inclusive response to COVID-19?
Okay, can I start?
Sure, please.
Great. So what we are seeing today in the business is the word agile, and we are seeing agile like never before. For all organizations, responding rapidly and flexibly to the impact of virus and taking immediate action to protect the employees and customers alike is taking a precedence like never before. We've seen the swift implementation of this widespread work from home, as Mr. Gupta, you rightly said. We've also seen something like a dedicated shopping hours for the vulnerable, whether it's for the elderly or people with disabilities. And also we've seen a huge upswing in the use of virtual conferencing technologies. Zoom, MS Teams are the new buzzword rather than, you know, the WhatsApp and the Slacks, which used to be before. And I have seen this whole digital infrastructure and digital communication coming up and working as a propeller to support this phenomena or the new normal of working from home. The widespread shift in this business practices that we've seen in the last few months have also answered a fundamental question for many companies, which is, can my business not only adapt, but will also thrive when most of my staff is working from home? And in this entire duration, the companies have realized that the answer to this is yes. Knowing that this will work and this is going to bring forward a culture of inclusion where we will have more access to the talent pool, which was never, or which was only as a limited part of the entire workforce, is creating new opportunities, new avenues, and new thought processes when we are looking at the organization structures and the roles which are there in a company. This has also brought in a new practices where we look at the basket of allowances that are there given to the employee. We are relooking at the way we measure the performance metrics for the employees. Flexible work schedules are some of the things that we will be relooking at, and the policies, let's say for example, a medical cover are being redrafted over these period of months, so that it allows the people who are specially able to not only participate but also thrive in this new normal and the new business.
Very good. So can we have other panelists?
Yeah, so I'll go next. So at Lifestyle International, we have close to about 700 plus speech and hearing impaired employees working. And the way I look at it is, while yes, there is a pandemic and the entire country has almost come to a standstill, I can see PWD being treated anything different from our normal employees. So whatever measures we are taking for all our employees, they are included in that. So there's nothing where I see that there should be any difference that we are creating. And we have a very strong sustainability policy. And as part of our sustainability policy, diversity and inclusion is one of them. And our aim is to definitely increase the number of people with disabilities working with us. In fact, we are looking at how do we go to the next level of hiring other disabilities. How do we go about increasing the number of people with disabilities working with us? And that has not changed. We still continue to hold that as our key strategy. Yet, at the moment, everything has come to a stop because our stores are not operating full-fledged as yet. We have close to about 500 plus stores pan-India, including Matt's Lifestyle Home Center. So, and we've only opened about 50% of them as of now. So nothing changes for us. I think everything continues the way it is. Our focus on, the whole initiative around diversity and inclusion, where PWDs are a part of it, continues the way it is. And we would not be looking at treating them any differently from our, other employees, except of course the sensitivities of their disability and how do we support them in that. So yeah, that's what I have to say on this.
Excellent.
So I can go next. Hi, this is Gayatri, and I'm representing Capgemini in this panel. I think I would align to many of the pointers that our previous speakers discussed. So when you look at the organization, the first thing is to ensure that employee is safe, is well. And the next thing is to ensure business continuity, right? So we all have BCP in place and we have to ensure business continuity, even during these unprecedented times. So I'm very happy to share that the organization probably is delivering now at 97% from work from home. And, the stigma of work from home across multi-industries has been so much. I think this has been a great lesson for all of us that work continues and it can effectively continue, especially in technology companies like ours. And it's just a matter of the reframing of the mind. So what are some early interventions we took? Yes, absolutely. Make sure that all employees had access to laptop and systems and the VPN and things like that, because we wanted to ensure connect with the employee. We continue to do various wellness initiatives because during these extremely stressful times, I think many of us have very displaced lives. It doesn't follow the pattern we used to. It's necessary to support employees. So we various wellness initiatives, maybe starting from daily guided meditation, mindfulness sessions, self-awareness in terms of your level of stress and anxiety. Of course, candid connects with our leaders. We do a lot of podcasts, and these podcasts are released on a daily basis. The mental health of employees and naturally of the people with disabilities. One of the things that we realized was necessary, especially for the PWD talent in the system, is to ensure that they had information in terms of who they need to access and who are the access points. If they have specific emergencies, how do they address it? And if they need, guidance in terms of, if they needed guidance in terms of counseling and mental health, what are the contact numbers? So the counselors, the doctors, and local connects as required was immediately done. Apart from that, of course, there are reactive connects. Currently, to just share with you, there is this employee who reached out to me yesterday morning saying that he's very depressed. We're finding many such concerns where employees either are facing violence, which is scary, and this particular employee is a person with disability, or they are emotionally so stressed and the anxiety comes out through, tendencies which in normal frame of mind we wouldn't think of. And during these extraordinary times, it's extremely important that we take care of their well-being. To me, it's called tough love. So we have to ensure that they're safe and protected physically, and at the same time, they invest into work, social conversations, because that keeps them going. Some of them who are living alone, those are the ones that we really have to, take an extra special precaution. So to me, I don't think these times are, of course, lessons in learning in terms of our life continuity and business continuity. But more importantly, how can we be a little more empathetic, a lot more supportive to people who might need it much more than us? Sometimes we see these posts on Instagram and social media and really think, oh, she's leading a fabulous life. Oh, his life is fantastic. But we don't know the reality behind. So to me, I would say active listening, lend your ear, be patient, smile. These are little steps that we can all take. Thank you, Gupta ji.
Very good. So, Vijay?
For us in this hotel industry, it has been a great transformation since the beginning itself. When this started affecting us in different parts of India, of course, Chennai was the last one to get affected in pan across India. So first thing that as a hotel company we did was to allow people to work from home, which is not a very new thing in the industry, very old thing in something very different. So the company was very agile to the situation. We were allowed to work from home. Hotel industry professionals are not used to, okay? And we ensured that in this interim period of 2.5 months, a lot of training has happened. Almost every day we cover one set of employee in 3 different programs. So we call it new normal in terms of business sequence, service sequence, and especially we have tied up with the Bureau Veritas. It is a French company. So they have given us the complete hygiene tools to adopt and practice. So almost every employee has been covered to ensure that we are ready for the post-COVID era, and we are ready. What we try in HR, we are connected with the people on who are out of their hometown. They are going through a tough time, emotional support, including food sometime, okay, because most of them are bachelor as well. So all these supports are given, including those who are physically challenged people. We are in touch with every single day so that they don't feel left out. The best part that has come across is to stay connected with the people. And then psychologically, they are with the team. Okay. So we are ready. Once the government decides to lift the lockdown, we will accept with grace and we'll see how we take it forward.
Very good. So very nice. So Shruti spoke about virtual conferencing technologies and flexible work schedules. Nandini spoke about sustainability policy and how they have enabled work from home. Gayatri spoke about wellness initiatives and initiatives to take care of mental health and connect with the PWDs. And Vijay, you also spoke about readiness of the organization with the post-COVID situation, including setting up great connect with the people. So, so my next question is to Gayatri. Gayatri, considering that a lot of organizations are going for hiring freeze, as a matter of fact, not only they are going for hiring freeze, but also they are letting go of a lot of people. And we have seen a lot of news items recently in the newspapers, in the media, etc. And there's a lot of hue and cry on that. So what is your HR strategy to maintain the agenda of diversity and inclusion?
So very excellent and very contextual question. So first, hiring is only one dimension to people journey in an organization. The way we look at the talent from the disability community is that we have a very 4-pillared approach. The first one is accessibility. We have to ensure that all our systems, our technology, our infrastructure, everything is accessible. So we are about now 125,000 employees across 72 buildings and locations that we are in 9 cities. It's important that every building and every floor is accessible for our employees because we have our talent spread across, So that's that's pillar 1. The second one is on career. So of course, attracting talent and attracting talent from all dimensions of diversity is very critical for us. And career is not just about attracting the talent, right? It's about managing the talent to ensure that the talent feels engaged, the talent feels that they belong to the organization, and at the same time, they can grow as per their career aspirations. So this dimension of career is about non-discriminatory policies and practices that happen in the organization. So when it comes to engagement, which is our third pillar, it's about not just looking at the talent per se, but the ecosystem around the talent to ensure that all the stakeholders buy in for the talent and the support is there. For example, if you look at onboarding of a person with speech and hearing disability into a project team, the project team connect with that person is as important as this individual delivering, because after all, we're all social animals, right? And we need those social interactions. So that engagement is very critical for us. The fourth pillar we deliver from is evangelism. We evangelize like this. This is an example of that, because it's very critical for us to understand what is happening outside, what is happening outside the system, what's happening across the ecosystem of India. And this helps us, disability is a very broad spectrum. You can't, it's an umbrella, right? And you know that we have 21 disabilities. So if you look at silent disabilities, for instance, the way certain roles have to be addressed is very specific. If you take an ASD, it's very specific. Unlike, if you have motor disability, in technology company like ours, it's not so much of a challenge because you're more, using digital media and you're sitting in front of a laptop and working. So the intent is to ensure that every talent is identified with the capability, and then you staff the person. So even though hiring has reduced now, it's not a freeze for us. We're still hiring. In fact, right now, we're just working on business unit billable positions for about 15 resources in Kolkata for, people from the disability, the talent from the disability community for specific roles that we have just opened up. So it's not that it's a freeze. Definitely it's compared to the usual hiring, it's come down. One of the first steps we took as an organization is committed that all offers that are rolled out will be respected. We will not withdraw any offers. And that's very important, because if you say, the demand is going to be seasonal, then that's very unfair. So the first thing we said is we don't withdraw offers that have been rolled out. And at that point, there were about 6,000 offers in the market. And over the past 3 months, we have, I think, close to 90% conversion on those. The other is about learning. So this is a good time for all of us to invest into doing better. And we do that through learning. We learn, we reskill, we upskill. And this is not just about your technical passion or your role that you're in. It's also about your capability as an individual, as a person, your ability to manage teams, your ability to engage, your ability to be emotionally stable to support people around you. So learning is a huge space. We've invested into fantastic platforms like Coursera and Next, and a lot of our focus now is on learning. So we do, targeted training on learning and development, not limited to just the role. The other dimension that I would like to talk to you is about bench. So usually in IT organizations, bench, the minute you go roll into bench, you have a turnaround time, which is very short for you to get absorbed into another project, because you're a billable resource and you can't sit doing nothing. So we relax that bench, and that's very important to ensure that opportunities are, coming and are getting open in the system for the individual to get absorbed in. Meet and greet, connect, these are very important. We continue to keep engaging with employees to find out, sense what's happening and deal with issues. And proactively, what we've launched now is called the happiness and well-being vertical. This is a new baby in diversity dimension. And the intent through this is for us to support our employees' welfare and care.
Excellent. So that's a very good news for all the listeners, that your organization is hiring despite all this doom and gloom that is being spoken about. And it is heartening to note that you're also investing in learning, and some of the adjustments that you are making, not only in workplace accessibility, but also in terms of the relaxed bench periods. So that's fantastic, Gayatri. That's a very good piece of news from your side. Okay, my next question goes to Vijay. So Vijay, what are some of the workplace precautions adopted by organizations as PWDs are at a higher risk of getting infected with COVID-19? So how do you ensure that PWDs or the people who are disabled, they are not at a higher risk of getting infected with COVID?
Pre-COVID itself, our systems are inbuilt when physically the young people will not face any kind of physical infrastructural challenges as such. However, like I said, the last 2 months and a half, the kind of a training that we have been imparting with the team is ensure that they all are well aware as to post-COVID era, what are the requirements, competency wise, otherwise. So all the necessary changes in the system has already been incorporated, and n number of amount of training has happened on the same topic. So we don't need to, when the soft floor is open for the guest, we as an employee are ready for that, including physically the young people. In be it F&B service, be it a culinary, or be it housekeeping, every department has its own competency-based training taken into account, including laundry. We have certain people physically challenged. All those things are happening through Zoom or other virtual training models. So we have done that in the past 2.5 months.
Very good. So training and awareness and systemic changes, that's very good news.
Like, for example, when they are coming, earlier we had a punch in, punch out. So we have done away with that. It's a face recognition system. They just pass on, including that uh, uh, it's an automatic sanitizer system. So we don't need to use feet or hand to get into there. We just pass by it. So all the touch points have been taken care of. Roughly in the hotel, we have around 840 touch points from guest to an staff. So all those 840 touch points by different departments have been taken care of at least 3-4 times. So we all are safe and secure. When we come, we feel safe, secure.
Very good. So my next question goes to Nandini. And Nandini, you know the lot of these e-commerce companies are using PWDs as people who can deliver their products, basically. So according to you, what kind of strategy needs to be adopted when it comes to online product delivery by PWDs? You're on mute, Nandini. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier as well, of course, there are certain things that we need to take care of when it comes to PWD in terms of, the convenience for them, especially for the point that you said. So we are a retail company, and, only 2% of our, business is e-commerce. And we just started online deliveries about 15-20 days back, because non-essentials was started only then. So I think what becomes very critical for people who are home delivering, irrespective of whether they are PWD or regular employees, I think it's very, very important for the organization to take complete accountability of these people, because they are more exposed to to the virus, because they are moving around. So it becomes very critical that we are extra cautious with them. So some of the things that we could do, one is we could create a small group of people who are constantly in touch with them to check if things are fine, if they're inconvenienced in any way. We need to provide them with a complete PPE kit, because I think that becomes very crucial. Be it masks, be it a sanitizer that they carry with them, if possible a complete body suit which they could use when they are traveling across from one location to another. And this needs to be provided irrespective of whether so I am a very strong believer of the fact that it is not about diversity, it's about inclusion. So rather than treating people as two separate categories of normal and PWD, I would say they're all one. Of course, there are special requirements that each individual may have, which is what we need to look at. So I think, for home delivery, this is what is important, irrespective of which category of employee you are, that the organization takes complete accountability and provides whatever is required. And in case a particular, God forbid, but there is a case that does come up, it becomes the organization's accountability to ensure that the person is treated, through the, 14 days and taken care of, including their medical expenses, which we as an organization have it as part of our Mediclaim policy as well. So we need to ensure that, there is someone constantly in touch with them and they take care of them as well. So I think broadly, I would say these would be the two critical things that we need to do. One is, provide them with the entire kit that is required while they are in the, process of delivering, which is a precautionary measure. And in case something does happen, the organization takes the accountability to ensure that they recover and get back to work. So I think these are broadly two things that we need to keep in mind for delivery boys who are delivering products to customers.
And Nandini,
and of course, one important thing which I missed out is also the communication to the customers, that we are taking all the precautionary measures to ensure that your product reaches you safely and you do not get impacted. So I think that is also an aspect.
Excellent. And you raised a very valid point that whether it is PWDs or anybody else, I think everybody needs certain minimum precautions, and everybody needs certain minimum help when it comes to online delivery of the products, basically. And this medical kit is a very good example of that. So my next question is to Shruti. So Shruti, what are some of the post-COVID, or right now I'm not able to say post-COVID because we are currently living with COVID, and it seems that it is some time that we have to live with this COVID situation. But what are some of the survival and revival packages, if any, for persons with disabilities in your industry or in retail sector?
Okay. I echo the same sentiments as what Nandini has said, because even at Puma, there is no differentiation between people with disability and our other employees. Our business definitely got impacted because of the lockdown, because we are also a B2C brand. So how I look at this is that there are two aspects to this entire situation. One is managing lives, and second is managing livelihoods. When I talk about life, I talk about the entire sanitization process, health and hygiene regimes which are being implemented across the stores. Whether it's installing sanitizers, the contactless sanitizers at very regular touch points, doing a thermal check of each and every employee every day, having our teams doing a weekly touch point with each and every employees along with their families to make sure that not only the employee is safe, but the ecosystem in which they are is also safe and secure. Making sure that the PPE kits like your masks, your gloves are distributed on a regular basis to each of the employees so that they are extremely safe even when they are dealing with customers. Making sure that a communication which has transparency, whether it's at the store level or whether it's to the consumer level, is maintained across, which shows that we are a brand which cares for you. We are a brand that is going to stand with you while we are in this pandemic and even after that pandemic. Second part, when I come to livelihoods, is the part where we as a brand have not done any pay cuts. We have not done any job losses across all levels in the organizations. Of course, during the lockdown period, when the revenues were very, very low, our leadership team had taken a voluntary step to take a pay cut. But employees at the store or employees at the corporate level, they did not feel any heat of this entire situation. Now, to work into that model, we had cut down on a lot of our operational expenses, brought it down to the bare bone structure to make sure that because see, it's not only the responsibility of those 1,300 employees that are there working with us, but it is also responsibility of 1,300 families which are there, which need these employees to be safe, which needs these employees to be secure, and needs to have a working environment. They need to continue with their jobs. Apart from that, yes, there have been relooking at our, as I said earlier, relooking at our benefit modules, relooking at our processes of measuring of performance, because while we are at the pandemic and we are very hopeful and positive that the pandemic will come to an end, is a question of performance, because during this time the sales have been severely impacted, and these employees at the store are having a major KPIs of sales. So can we relook at our metrics of performance so that they are not even impacted post this entire COVID situation? The kind of engagements that we do are digital. We are having more inclusive engagement, and as my other fellow panelists said, this is one time that we've utilized to the T to have a digital learning infrastructure put into place. So even while there was a lockdown, we had training sessions which were internal, which were external, which were online, so that employees do not rust onto their ability of learning. And while they are in this lockdown, post when this gets over, post now that we are resuming work, we are much more productive, we are much more positive, and most importantly, we are much more empathetic.
Excellent. So you raised a very wonderful concept that is lives and livelihoods. So that's, I think both are so critical. Excellent. So both the human element as well as the professional element of the livelihood. Well, friends, I think it is time to take up a few questions from the audience. So I could see some questions coming around in the early stage, and I guess one of them has already been answered in the discussions. But one of the key questions that remains, and that has been asked also, and that remains in everybody's mind is, how to, and this is open to all the panelists, how to tackle this big issue of laying off of persons with disabilities. I heard a lot of people are being laid off, and among them, of course, there are PWDs. So how do you take care of that? I mean, any one of you, please.
We as a company have not laid off any people. That's again, it's a company to company, a very specific issues. What we need to do is, like Shruti has mentioned, life and livelihood. These two are different issues. As a company, what we are trying to look is to look after the entire ecosystem of the family. No job loss at any cost for anybody. Okay, that is for sure. We are as a company committed to look after. That is applicable for physically challenged Divyang people as well. Yes, company has to take certain amount of financial burden. Business has hugely been impacted, and there is time gap we need to wait for still. Okay, but if you look after the people in the larger interest, they will look after our interest. It's a very simple game. And that's what, even if they do not have leave, they are not working, we have been managing with them with the partial pay. There are families who do not have anything to support. We give them food, all kind of assistance is being given. I'm talking on behalf of Chennai unit. Okay. So there is an integration with the system. Though there are things happening in the industry, okay, but we as we have to think about their family, we have to think about their other aspects, and companies has to be a little larger in their outlook. That's what I can assume.
Absolutely. And on that, Vijay, I would also like to share that in our organization, we employ a very large headcount and a large complement of PWDs as well. And we have not asked any person with disability to leave. We have, on the contrary, been taking care of them during this lockdown. But anyways, I think we have also another question. This is a long question. I'm just trying to read that. Yeah, what kind of resources would PWDs need to invest in order to improve their perceived employability? So this is some kind of an advice that can we give some advice to PWDs as to what they should invest in to improve their employability? Anyone?
Sure, Gupta ji. But one thing in relation to the previous statement that previous question that was discussed, I think what organizations need to do is to follow what the government of India has asked. Have an equal opportunity policy. The minute you frame an equal opportunity policy, which is aligned to your organization's values, a lot of decision making during uncertain times will also get addressed. So I would say that mission critical for organizations today is to have the EOP active. In relation to the question here, what kind of resources? The first thing we need to do is to remove stigma from the talent. Historically, I don't think we as a society have done much to either drive education or even drive employability of this talent pool. So how do you destigmatize? First, address the talent's capability. So does the employee, does the talent, what are his or her skills? What are their capabilities? And look at staffing them based on that. So it shouldn't be the other way around, right? Understand what the skills are and then staff the position. So if I have a requisition open and I'm going to say, yes, I have to hire, this is my KPI, I have to hire X%. It's not going to be beneficial either to the organization or the talent. So we have to flip that and say, okay, what are your skills? What are your capabilities? Where is your passion? Let me see if there is fitment to my organization currently. That would be one way of looking at it. Second, in today's crazily changing world, I believe adaptability, resilience, these are skills and definitely based on emotional intelligence. These are skills that all of us as people and as leaders for tomorrow need to equip ourselves. So in terms of soft skills, this is a fantastic time for us to learn, experiential learning, and at the same time equip ourselves. As I said earlier, learning has to be continuous, it can't stop. And those are my couple of high-level inputs.
Okay, great. So one of the, it's not a question, but a suggestion coming in from one of the participants is that he writes that my humble request to organizers is to henceforth use Say Namaste as a video conferencing platform, which is probably developed in-house in India. So that suggestion, of course, Gulshan, we are forwarding your suggestion to the organizers of the program, definitely. And next time, we hope they can act on that, but it is eventually their call. Okay, so let me see if we have any more questions in the box. Yeah, one question, this is from Tarun. He's asking, I was wondering, what are you doing about the deaf staff? Are you still able to communicate without face-to-face interpreters for work? This has to be answered by an organization that employs this kind of disability. So any of the panelists can take up this.
So I can do that. So we use WhatsApp very extensively with people with disabilities because, it's about typing out messages and communicating to them. So that's the best way to do it. And of course, over a call, video call, where we can actually, through action, talk to them. So this is what we do in our organization.
Okay, very good. Excellent. So I think we have time for one more question, which is, does our government really focus on the accessibility of PWD staff, workers, and students on virtual classes during COVID-19 period?
So, let's not talk on behalf of the government.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we are really empowered to speak on behalf of the government. Okay, so so if we have no more questions from the audience, then I think I have pretty much tried to cover every question that came on this box. This is Zoom webinar chat. So friends, these were truly wonderful insights from all our esteemed panelists. And I mean, personally, I can say that after having employed more than 5,000 persons with disabilities in last 9 years in Sarthak, I can strongly vouch that the multifarious advantages that these people offer is tremendous. And together, I think we shall enable and empower them for a safe return to workplace in a situation which is post-lockdown situation. And I'm sure all the perspectives that were discussed today, along with many more to come, shall ensure a greater degree of inclusion and also support to persons with disabilities during and after this COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you very much for listening to us very patiently, and thank you to all the panelists. And now over to Sandeep Bhargavaji.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, and all the panelists. It was a very lively discussion, and we had very good questions which can really give some kind of a support to our corporates also to bring in more PWDs. And as you see, in these times, the productivity has been much better for the corporates also while working at homes. So you have a natural resource who can work with at home more diligently and more productively. So I'm sure the corporates would take that as an addition and really think on to hire more of these PWDs. In the end, I thank you all once again, and also to the American Center, our digital and outreach partner, without whose efforts this would not have been possible, and also to the UNICEF UVA, the knowledge partner for us, and the entire team behind the background of the American Center and from Sarthak and NAAI, the National Olympic Association of India, who are being there at the back of it. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening later on. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.